haven't done a ramble in a while, so I thought I'd just do one when my food is getting ready. And I have two things I want to talk about. The first is why I will never care about the collection log, and this is a pretty simple topic. When it comes to the collection log, no matter what content you do, the goal is to make your collection log number go up. And there's 200 collection log slots or something that are pretty fast and easy to get, and that you can just go for whenever. And I don't really think that tracks completion is stuff or progress or anything. So there's nothing in the world that can really motivate me to care about it. I think it's fun that a lot of people enjoy doing collection log stuff. I think it's great to watch people progress on collection log, either through talking to people I know or watching YouTube videos or whatever. It makes for great things to observe progress wise, but I can't ever imagine going for stuff like that when I could be progressing my account, getting less collection log slots, but unlocking more content in the future. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the collection log and why I personally don't really care about it. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about is the combining item meta, and it's kind of a hard one to explain, but you know how you basically break down a panda's chest to make the Torva chest, and how you break down an armor chest to make the Masori chest and stuff like that. And this is kind of polarizing because, first of all, yes, it does retain the value of the original items, and as a one-off upgrade, it's a great system. However, a lot of people think it would be super silly to go from a Torva chest plate to a hypothetical upgraded melee chest plate, which is probably 6 years away or something. And I don't really agree with that. I think there's something there to be said, right? Look, you don't want to have a never-ending loop of upgrading items, but thinking about it remains, it doesn't really matter. It just makes sure that items don't lose their value. So like content that was released earlier is still viable even after content that releases later provides rewards that supersede the earlier content, which is why the Masori ward is such or not the Masori ward, the Dinis ward is such a great item, because if it was released as a fortified version and did not require the Arcane Spirit Shield, the Arcane Spirit Shield would be worthless overnight. And for people who want to do corp, like the 5 of them that are out there and all the collection loggers, that would be a significant blow to their ability to enjoy the game. And I think it's just not a bad call in basically any context. And for irons, it provides a more streamlined progression ladder, because when you look at the Bofa, for example, there's the classic issue that going for the Bofa allows you to skip over multiple tiers of content. If you go for Bofa, you do it generally before you go for Zulrah uniques, and you do it before you go for God Wars dungeon items and stuff. So it's something that basically just negates any other uniques you could be getting in that space of time. For example, on my account, I didn't do any Slayer bosses, and now I'm doing Corrupted Gauntlet, while without Bofa, I would have probably been doing God Wars dungeon by now, Cerberus and stuff like that. But if you're creating items that can be combined, you don't create these situations where you can leapfrog over content. You can't skip Bandits by doing Nex, and you can't skip Armadale by doing Tombs of a Mascot. To an extent you can, but I think people really don't want to. And let me explain. Even though God Wars Dungeon isn't amazing content in the current year, and even though it's not something that's fun in and of itself a lot of the time because of KC, because of team efforts becoming more and more rhythm based and less flicking, shield switching, and just general adaptability based. I think there's a valid reason to say that God Wars Dungeon shouldn't exist in its current form. It needs to be reworked or changed in some way. But to me that doesn't make any sense, and to most people it doesn't make any sense either. And then the second argument is, hey, like, why not just skip God Wars Dungeon if it shouldn't be reworked? Like, if no one wants God Wars Dungeon to be reworked because some people still like the old God Wars Dungeon, even though it has changed like so much over time, like, why not just let people skip it? And that's because when you allow people to skip content, what happens is either people put off PVM until they're pretty late game, the same way I did with like the Corrupted Gauntlet, or people basically just drag high-end content even though they're like undergeared for it from a technical standpoint, albeit they can still get KC. So in that situation, the problem isn't that people can like do Future of Blood or Chambers of Serik and like rags, because that's perfectly fine if you have like a team that can carry you, or if you want to like solo Chambers with like absolute like mid-level gear, like that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. However, it's not really fun progression for most people. Like, yeah, sure, you can like go do all of that stuff, but it's not something that like should be encouraged either implicitly or explicitly. The thing with Corrupted Gauntlet is that it doesn't really have any high requirements other than like okay-ish combat stats, and that means that this doesn't run into that particular situation where people just like rush it in rags and just end up having a very non-streamlined experience because you're doing the content with gear that's like about 2 tiers below what the content was designed for. Like, it's just not like gameplay that should be encouraged, even though it's technically efficient if you just want to like get to the end game. And some people enjoy that. Like, I am on PC and Twitter. I don't know the guy, but I do know that like he's a big advocate for like skipping content and stuff like that. So my thoughts on this are pretty much that just things should be balanced so the average Iron Man or the average player can go from tier to tier of content and have fun the whole way. Like, not even necessarily because the content is fun, but because you're constantly getting relevant upgrades that don't get devalued once you get to the next tier of content. And yeah, so the final thing I want to talk about is I just want to propose a quick like few examples of items that could be combined in the future with other items. So the first of these is the Brimstone Ring. I think it would be really cool if you had like a level 97 Slayer boss or like something else, maybe like a non-Slayer boss, although that would be kind of weird. But anyway, we would have some type of boss that would provide an upgrade to the Brimstone Ring that would let it store 3 unimbued rings. So if you just store like the Daganov rings, basically, it would have the same stats as it does right now, essentially. Like, not exactly, but vaguely. However, if you wanted to optimize your like rings for like some specific piece of content, like if you wanted an unimbued Berserker ring, a Light Bearer, and a Ring of Endurance, like you could put that all in the same ring, although the Ring of Endurance would have to be on charge or whatever, just to balance it out. And I think that would be a really cool item to have in the game. The second proposal is the ability to combine Justiciar and Inquisitor through some third item or just maybe even on their own. And that's because Torva has basically deleted Inquisitor and Justiciar from the game. Neither of these items are particularly useful anymore because you could always just go for Torva instead of those items, at least in like the super endgame perspective, which obviously I'm not in, but a lot of people are there by now. And by giving this thematically fitting crush slash defensive slash damage reducing armor with like strength bonuses that are below Torva but still respectable on their own, I think that would be a really like amazing alternative to Torva, and it might be more accessible to people who just want to do like content that isn't Nyx, but it would never be like 100% better than Torva because it would have a lower strength bonus no matter what you do. And even with crush weapons, it might be competitive in some situations, but again, Torva has basically completely invalidated Inquisitor. And then finally, I would like a new tier of boots. I would like to take my hypothetical primordial boots and put like another MacGuffin on them. I think that would be really cool. And the brimstone, or not the brimstone, the primordial boots are not the best example for this, because the eternal boots and the Pegasian boots could really use a strength bonus. So whatever item could be added on top of them could give them a strength bonus. And maybe you would have an upgrade to only the Pegasians and only the Eternals from a new boss that could not be applied to primordial boots, and that would provide the quote-unquote bad boots with ranged and magic strength bonus. I think that would be cool. And yeah, these are my ideas, I guess.